Just last week, we got some big updates from CD Projekt Red around Phantom Liberty, and really just the future of Cyberpunk 2077 overall. All of those new details were shared during their latest earnings call, and the biggest takeaway was that Phantom Liberty marketing was going to begin in June. Well, shortly after that earnings call, they also did a separate chat with investors, this being on stockwatch.pl. Most of the time, I skim these, but there's not that many interesting answers, but this time around, CDPR gave some pretty surprising and notable answers that I think actually give us a much clearer look at what is happening next with the company and specifically with Cyberpunk 2077, such as how one of the next updates may be coming even a bit sooner than most of us think. And if for some reason you're watching a Cyberpunk video without actually owning the game, it's 50% off on GOG right now, and I have my affiliate link down below if you're interested. When talking about the current status of Phantom Liberty, CDPR described how work is at the final stretch. The expansion is large and complex. We are focused on ensuring that it is sufficiently well polished. We are not considering any release time frame other than the current year, and they reiterate that last part once again with a different answer. Yes, as confirmed yesterday, it will come out in 2023. I feel like this answer overall is exactly what fans of Cyberpunk have been wanting to hear. This is going to be not only a large expansion, but CDPR also giving their devs the time they need to polish it accordingly. It seems like any potential delays outside of 2023 are not even remotely on the table or being considered, which definitely makes me think their current release target is quite a bit before the end of 2023. Which, speaking of, another question to follow this up is asking if beginning marketing in June is too early, referring to their Red 2.0 strategy change. Following the release of Cyberpunk 2077, CDPR fundamentally shifted how the company operates with Red 2.0. Part of the strategy was developing two games in tandem. That's why right now we have Phantom Liberty, but also the next Witcher game are both full productions. Actually, more on that in a moment. But one of the other prescribed changes during this was with marketing, where they describe how future marketing campaigns will be much shorter, with promotional content released closer to the actual release of the given game, which of course is a response to the very long and drawn out marketing campaign we saw over several years for Cyberpunk 2077. That, although being incredibly successful, also led to a lot of things that were shown in marketing that never actually ended up in the final game. But now with Red 2.0, they're trying to do shorter marketing cycles. And with this in mind, CDPR describes how we feel comfortable with launching the marketing campaign for the expansion in June. And although that's a very vague answer, I still think it is a pretty interesting one. It definitely makes it seem like an August release date for Phantom Liberty, as many people have been speculating could definitely be possible. August is a big month in the Cyberpunk universe, although this specific date of August 20th is on a weekend. And with past Cyberpunk updates, CDPR has definitely been doing those super short marketing campaigns. As many times we've seen things get advertised and released in the same day. And one of the other data points around a potential release date comes from that past earnings call, in that they mention how they expect by the end of this year or early next year, half the company is going to be working on the next Witcher game. And we get a bit more color around that during this chat with investors. They clarify that there are currently 200 developers working on the next Witcher project named Polaris, while at the same time there are over 330 developers working on Phantom Liberty. So what I take that to mean is, if there is a chance that by the end of 2023, that 200 developer number on Polaris could be up to around 400, it does indicate at the very least that Phantom Liberty probably isn't coming out super late, like not December or November, as there still does have to be enough time to switch developers from one project to another. But what has definitely been the most interesting new quote from this recent chat is on patch 1.7. They are asked, do you plan to update Cyberpunk in the style of patch 1.6 before the DLC release, which they respond, yes. If you're a bit confused on the patch numbering, patch 1.6 was the Edge Runners update. This came out late in 2022. And based off the phrasing and wording there, it definitely seems like this is them confirming that, yes, patch 1.7, another larger update like patch 1.6, will be coming before Phantom Liberty. For a very long time, me and many other people out there thought that these two would ship at the same time. Phantom Liberty and patch 1.7 would be dropping on the same day. But it seems like no, that's not the case, and if Phantom Liberty is coming in August, patch 1.7 could be coming a bit earlier, like in June. At least probably. We have to be careful with this quote because it is technically translated from Polish to English. On the original Stockwatch website, where things are in Polish and this Q&A was conducted, the keyword being used here is przed, which, as far as I can tell after doing quite a bit of Googling, this is almost a direct translation to before. So that interpretation that patch 1.7 comes before Phantom Liberty would make sense. But CDPR posted a translation of this chat on their investor website where they have listed it as, are you planning any Cyberpunk updates in the style of patch 1.6 around the time of the DLC release? which is just a completely different interpretation. But considering the original question framing and answer, it definitely, to me at least, seems like patch 1.7 may be coming sooner than we realize. And a huge shout out to Kalenko on Twitter for actually bringing this all to my attention. As of right now, we know patch 1.62 is dropping for Cyberpunk in just a week on April 11th. This is going to be that new ray tracing overdrive mode. It's going to implement path tracing to Cyberpunk. But perhaps patch 1.7 with epic new features like vehicle combat and a police rework could actually end up dropping in June as a cool surprise update. I could totally envision a situation where Phantom Liberty marketing kicks off. We get a cool new trailer for the DLC, a release date, and more. And at the very same time, CDPR has another trailer for patch 1.7 that ends with it saying it's available right now. That's exactly what they did with patch 1.3, 1.5, and 1.6, so to me it actually makes a lot of sense for this to happen. And if you're wondering when in June we can expect to see some marketing kick up, it seems like June 8th could be the day. CDPR said they would be announcing the date of marketing soon, which likely means they'll be at one of the many gaming showcases. And Summer Game Fest did retweet the announcement around Phantom Liberty marketing, and some CDPR employees even liked that tweet. Now, of course, that's getting into super speculation territory, but at the same time, we'll know definitively soon, as CDPR did confirm an announcement of when the marketing will start will be coming shortly. So this summer definitely has potential to be pretty big for Cyberpunk 2077, although that isn't all, as CDPR did have some other interesting answers during this chat. They continue to reiterate that they intend to develop the Cyberpunk franchise into additional formats, namely TV, movies, and books. They were asked about working on a John Wick game, but shut that down completely. The hot topic right now is AI in gaming, and CDPR has some plans on this front, mentioning how we are looking at this technology and we see potential applications in our industry. However, it's too early for details. I would like to emphasize that we do not regard AI as a substitute for our team's work, and they even shared some details on the early work with Unreal Engine 5. Pretty much all of their future games are planned to be made on Unreal Engine, but it's kind of an interesting situation right now at CDPR where for decades they've been using Red Engine, and now they're fundamentally shifting the company onto Unreal Engine. This has led to some investor concerns, wondering if this transition and this new process will actually make games take longer or maybe even make them faster. And at least when it comes to the next Witcher game, CDPR does clarify, using Unreal Engine 5 will not slow down the process, but it won't accelerate it either. When it comes to further projects, the other games after the next Witcher game, we expect work to proceed more quickly. This is one of the reasons why our strategy update announced 3 larger Witcher games which would be released within 6 years of the launch of Polaris. And there's one hero during the chat with Daniello10AK, where they did ask if we can expect a new Witcher game in 2023 from CDPR. Unfortunately, the answer to that one was a no, as many of you probably expect, but that was definitely at least one Hail Mary attempt of ruining some massive surprise that would otherwise be coming this year. So it seems like we have a couple months of relative silence around Cyberpunk. We are getting this update next week, and I definitely will have a full video on it, but at least as of right now, it really seems like it's just going to be graphical upgrades for people with the highest end of hardware. Path tracing is going to be even more intensive than ray tracing, so if you're already struggling to run the game, path tracing will very likely be even more taxing on your system. But did you know that modders have started to add in fully custom quests into Cyberpunk 2077? If you're interested, you can check out that video here.